This video contains fictional portrayals of family conflict, emotional trauma, and alcohol use. Viewer discretion is advised. It's just another regular school day out in the countryside. Nothing exciting, just a sleepy classroom and a math lesson that feels like it'll never end. Na Seung-woon, the new transfer kid, is already half asleep at his desk. A few rows back, Junyoung watches him quietly. She notices how he's both rich and good looking in one package. There's something polished about him, like he doesn't quite fit in here. Still, Seung-woon seems pretty chill. He's polite and keeps to himself, never making a fuss. Even though he showed up midterm, he blends in surprisingly fast, and somehow, without even trying, he wins people over. It's not long before the girls start calling him their prince. That peaceful morning doesn't last, though. The teacher suddenly calls out Seung-woon's name, jerking him awake. Still groggy, he panics under the sudden spotlight. The teacher wastes no time showing his disappointment, saying Seung-woon's way behind compared to city kids, especially since Seoul students are supposedly already a chapter ahead. Seung-woon tries to explain, but the teacher isn't in the mood to listen. Then the teacher turns to Junyoung. She heads up to the board and solves the problem easily, earning a bit of praise. Even though she's known as the top student in class, Junyoung doesn't think much of it. She knows it only sounds like a big deal because the school's tiny and not that great. As she walks back to her seat, the teacher throws another jab at Seung-woon, saying he even lost to a girl. Seung-woon just looks startled and says nothing. Before anything else can happen, a loud metallic clang breaks the tension in the room. Everyone jumps. It's Kwon Beom-jin, the school's resident troublemaker. He yawns loudly like he couldn't care less. As far as he's concerned, class is over. The teacher tries to stop him, but Beom-jin brushes it off, saying he needs the bathroom while casually unbuckling his belt. The class is stunned and a little grossed out as he struts out without a second thought. The teacher just gives up and ends the class right there. As students file out, whispers follow Beom-jin's exit. People wonder what his deal is, some are scared, others just annoyed. Junyoung doesn't care, she minds her own business. Later, Seung-woon approaches her, clearly uncomfortable, trying to apologize for earlier when she had to step in for him. She looks at his Rolex just before asking him to move so she can get by. He steps aside quickly and says sorry. Right then, a girl named Oh Hae-soo walks up to him and throws shade at Junyoung, mocking her attitude and warning him not to get close. Junyoung doesn't say a word, she just walks away, everything feeling a little heavier on her shoulders. Her clothes are old and worn, so is everything around her, really, faded and tired. Maybe even in better shape than she is, she probably looks the most rundown of all. The only one who really stands out is Na Seung-woon, and somehow that makes it worse. It feels unfair, someone like him ending up in a place like this. She feels a quiet kind of pity for him. After school, instead of going straight home, Junyoung takes a winding path up the mountain. She avoids the main road on purpose, and there's a reason for that. Her house isn't exactly the best place to study. Her room's tiny and cramped, barely enough space to move without bumping into something. Laundry's always hanging somewhere, and an old, dusty fan creaks in the corner. She doesn't even have a proper desk. Studying at school is out of the question too. If she sticks around, she just ends up drawing attention, and the kind she doesn't want. The last thing she needs is to stand out. So instead, she heads to this quiet little spot, a rundown building that looks like an old warehouse tucked up in the mountains. She found it one day after a rough fight with her mom. Her mother had slapped her while drunk, and Junyoung wandered off, looking for somewhere to breathe. That's when she found this place. It was quiet, peaceful, no yelling, no pressure, just silence. Since then, it's become her go-to hideout. The outside looks pretty rough, but the inside is not bad. The furniture's still decent, and honestly, it looks like someone used to live here not too long ago. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that no one's here now, and she has the key. Well, not exactly no one. She's not the only one who knows about it. Stretched out inside, yawning like he owns the place, is Beom-jin. Yeah, the same guy who caused a scene in class earlier. He's already there, looking half asleep and completely unbothered to see her. Junyoung barely reacts. If anything, it confirms he's probably been here longer than her and clearly isn't planning on leaving. She quietly takes out her books and starts studying. Meanwhile, Beom-jin strolls over to the little kitchen corner and starts messing around with some food like it's no big deal. He asks if she wants some ramen, like it's the obvious choice. She doesn't even flinch before shutting it down. She's beyond sick of it by now. He acts like he didn't hear that and just goes on asking what kind she wants, if he should add an egg or not. Junyoung doesn't even look up, still focused on her notes, but she gives a preference anyway. Soon, the room fills with the soft sound of water boiling. Junyoung, pencil in hand, tries to stay focused, blocking out everything. School, home, all the noise. At least here in this quiet little corner of nowhere, she can pretend things are okay, even with that annoying guy around. Junyoung had known about Beom-jin for a while. The rumors surrounding him were wild and all over the place. People said he'd lost his parents when he was really young, got passed around between relatives, and eventually ended up in this town. Some claimed he'd been kicked out of his last school for punching a teacher. Others went darker, talking about gangster ties or how his parents had been stabbed. One rumor even claimed he went around hitting old people at night. No one ever proved anything, but the stories stuck. Even though they'd been in the same class since sophomore year, she'd never talked to him. She figured it would stay that way until graduation. But that wasn't what happened. She remembered exactly how it started. She finds the abandoned house by accident and knows immediately it's perfect for studying. For a whole week, she goes there every day, soaking in the peace and quiet. The only sound is the scratch of her pen on paper. Then one evening, something weird breaks the silence. A sudden noise makes her jump and she looks up, startled. From the loft above, someone stumbles out, coughing and holding their head. It's Beom-jin. He looks creepy as he stares straight at her. Junyoung freezes, eyes wide, then lets out a full-on scream. Seeing him standing there shatters whatever sense of safety she'd built in this place. Panicked, she scrambles to gather her stuff, muttering apologies as her thoughts race. She didn't know anyone else was staying here. The place looked abandoned. No lock, no signs of life. How was she supposed to know? And of all people, why him? She's about to bolt when his calm voice cuts through the chaos. He says it's not his house. It's been empty for over a month, and besides her, no one else has come. His voice is steady and his words don't match the rumors. She pauses, confused. If it's not his place, then why is he here? His answer is simple: to sleep, that's it. She blinks, caught off guard. It's such a plain response that it throws her. Her brain tries to twist his words into something else, but he stops her. He literally just means sleep, nothing more. When she tells him she comes here to study, he just shrugs and heads back up to the loft without another word. The whole thing feels weirdly normal. She stays frozen, her gut says to leave. His reputation is awful, but this place works for her. And technically, he doesn't own it either. Still, he found it first. Doesn't that make it his? Her thoughts won't stop spiraling. She wonders what he's really after. Is this a setup? And how does he even know she's here to study? Right then, he opens his eyes again and snaps at her from above. His tone is sharp. She jumps, smacking her head on the ceiling. She loses her balance, and before she can fall, he grabs her wrist to steady her. He tells her to watch the low railing, apparently not noticing that his hand's now on her back. Flustered, she shoves him off. She's not used to that kind of contact. He looks annoyed, saying he just saved her and doesn't get why she's being rude. Still shaken, she blurts out what's been bugging her. How did he even know she was here to study? He casually says he saw her the day before, recognized her from behind while she was sitting at the desk. That's it. Then he went back to sleep. She's floored. He figured out who she was just from the back of her head. He points out that her seat at school is right in front of his. If she'd come to use the bed, he might have kicked her out. But since she only uses the desk, he doesn't care. Fair deal in his eyes. Without saying it directly, they've kind of agreed to share the space. He says it can work. She needs to study. He needs to sleep. They won't get in each other's way. It still feels weird to her. Like, how did it even get to this point? They both have homes. But as he says, they each have their reasons for needing somewhere else. And suddenly she understands. He's not here to bother her. He's just here like her. So she brings up something practical: security. If they're both going to keep using the place, they'll need a lock. She even offers to bring one, says they can share the key. Although she isn't thrilled, she liked having the place to herself, but he insists they can make it work. She doesn't know how to respond. It's obvious she's planning to keep the key to herself, and he clearly knows that. But before she can say anything, he just picks her up and drops her right back onto her spot like it's nothing. She stands there, stunned, staring at the desk. This definitely wasn't how she imagined things going, but really, what can she do? Curious, she asks if he even knows who she is. Without skipping a beat, he says, Junyoung, rank 1. He doesn't study, but he remembers names. That catches her off guard, not that she should be surprised. Knowing things people don't expect him to is kind of his whole thing. And just like that, it had started, their weird little setup. Junyoung hadn't meant for any of it to become routine, but somehow it does. They fall into a rhythm. Beom-jin sleeps upstairs, she studies downstairs. At school, they pretend not to know each other, that's just how it goes. But little by little, that distance starts to shrink. One day, he's cooking ramen again and she notices he's added cheese. It's such a tiny thing, but somehow it opens the door. She figures if they're already eating together, they might as well talk a little. Her only real complaint? He makes ramen every single day. She doesn't like when the soup gets too thick, but she keeps watching him. He's surprisingly normal. When she asks how many eggs he put in, he says 5. The yolks are all mixed in though. He clarifies he only stirred in 3. He doesn't like it too thick either. Different tastes, same problem. He tells her when you're sharing one pot, you've got to compromise. She asks what he doesn't like and he fires back with a snarky jab about her being difficult. She doesn't even argue because yeah, he's kind of right. Then he slurps his noodles and accidentally splashes soup on her shirt. She yells, annoyed, but he barely reacts, just shrugs and tells her to go change. She groans, she'd planned on wearing that for who knows how many days. Her irritation spikes. In her head, she imagines smacking him with her book. She wouldn't actually do it, but still. Then out of nowhere, he sets his chopsticks down and says, "Take your shirt off." She just freezes. What? She's too stunned to even process it. Then he points at the stain and says he meant to wash it for her. That's all, totally casual, like it's no big deal. Her chair scrapes back as she shoots up, whacking her head on the wall with a yelp. Shocked and pissed, she yells at him, calling him a crazy bastard, but Beom-jin doesn't even flinch. Instead, he keeps poking at her, asking if she has a habit of banging her head on stuff and if being smart annoys her that much. Junyoung snaps at him to shut up, clearly fed up. Then out of nowhere, he starts taking off his shirt, just like that. Junyoung's eyes widen as he pulls it over his head, revealing a surprisingly lean, muscular build. She stammers, completely thrown off. She did not see this coming. Holding out his black t-shirt, he tells her to take off her shirt and wear his since he's done eating. She just keeps staring, still trying to figure out if he's joking. But Beom-jin, ever straight to the point, says if she scrubs the stain with dish soap, it'll come right out. Then he looks at her and asks flatly, "So, you want me to wash it or not?" She hesitates, caught between pride and practicality. Her face says it all, this is ridiculous. But then she remembers how much of a pain it is to do laundry, especially with that freezing tap water. With a long sigh, she gives in, grabs his shirt, and tells him to wait outside while she changes. Beom-jin heads out, and a minute later, she opens the door holding her own shirt. She asks again if he's really sure about washing it. He takes it from her and simply says, "Just don't tell anyone." She's confused and asks what that's supposed to mean, but he doesn't answer, just walks off, leaving her standing there with a million questions. As he rinses the shirt, Junyoung watches him quietly. His build is solid, and unlike what the rumors suggested, he doesn't have any tattoos. His shirt even smells nice. Nothing about him matches the image she'd had in her head. Then he suddenly turns around and catches her sniffing his shirt. Startled, she panics and quickly starts waving her own shirt, pretending the ramen was too spicy. It's not smooth, but it's the best she's got. Later that evening, once the sun has set, Junyoung stretches and says she's done for the day. As she starts packing up, Beom-jin wakes up and casually walks downstairs. She finds it weird how he always seems to know when something's going on, like some kind of cat. He hands her the dried shirt, and for a second she thinks about mentioning she was planning to leave while he was still asleep, but it doesn't matter. He always wakes up right on cue anyway. He asks how she's getting home since it's already pretty dark outside. Junyoung grins and teases him, asking if he's worried or if he's planning to walk her back. His face says neither. So she pulls out a flashlight from her bag like she's pulling a gadget out of a Doraemon pocket and tells him she'll light the way herself. Beom-jin immediately tells her not to use it. Apparently, the flashlight's too bright and makes her an easy target in the dark. She mumbles an okay and jokingly shines it in his face, only to find that he looks kind of terrifying under the light. She huffs and asks how she's supposed to get home if it's pitch black. Beom-jin doesn't say anything at first, then walks over to a drawer and pulls out a sturdy wooden stick. Junyoung freezes, thinking, oh god, is this it? Is he about to snap? Her brain floods with every rumor she's ever heard about him. But instead, he casually hands the stick to her and tells her to hold it and follow him. He can see fine in the dark. She just blinks, still trying to catch up. As they walk side by side, she starts thinking there's no way she could have known this would become a regular thing, that this random stick would end up being something she carried every day, that Beom-jin would even carve a handle onto it later. The guy's full of surprises, and nothing about him is what she expected. While they make their way through the dark trail, he keeps pointing out random stuff, rocks, tree roots, dips in the ground. She watches him quietly and thinks he really is like a cat. The way he moves, the way he sees in the dark, even his name, Beom, which means tiger, fits that vibe. She remembers that cats have insane night vision. Their pupils get huge to catch even tiny bits of light. Beom-jin hears her mention it and casually comments on how she knows so much. Their conversation shifts. Junyoung asks if he sleeps here during the day too, like he does at night. She's trying to figure out his weird schedule. He smirks and asks if she's trying to dig into what he does at night. She denies it quickly, saying she just wonders what she'll do if he ever stops showing up, how she'll get home alone. He pauses, then says she should try heading home before sunset. But she doesn't say what she's thinking, that going home early isn't really an option for her. They keep walking, with him still leading the way, stick in hand. When they finally reach the streetlights, he stops and tells her to go on ahead. She thanks him genuinely, but he's already turning back before she can finish. Junyoung reaches her building and the calm from their walk fades fast. Empty soju bottles are scattered by the door. Her stomach sinks. Her mom's been drinking again. She opens the door as quietly as possible, whispering to herself that her mom's probably asleep. She slowly turns the knob, eases the door open, and stops cold. Her mom is wide awake, her hair's a mess, and she looks furious. Junyoung stares, frozen. Before she can say anything, her mom grabs a plastic tub and screams, hurling water at her. The icy splash hits hard. She gasps and backs up, soaked and shivering. Then the hitting starts. As her mother lashes out in a drunken rage, Junyoung silently wishes she had just stayed out a little longer. The next day at school, dodgeball is on. The students shuffle around, chatting as they pick sides and move into position on the packed court. Junyoung standing among them, clearly exhausted, still drained from the night before. Not far off, Beom-jin watches her quietly. Even though they share that secret space after school, they barely cross paths here. Suddenly, Haesoo bumps into her on purpose, laughing and pretending she didn't see her. Junyoung, clearly annoyed, responds with a not-so-polite gesture. Haesoo's face darkens immediately. She snaps, anger rising fast. Junyoung just smirks and says, "Well, now you can see it, right?" That only pisses Haesoo off more, but before things blow up, the PE teacher yells at both of them to knock it off. Junyoung stays calm. Haesoo isn't usually hard to deal with, but today her body feels awful. Maybe it's from being outside in wet clothes last night. Whatever it is, she feels heavy and sluggish. She mutters to herself that it'd be better to just get hit and rest. As the game starts, she makes no effort to dodge. She even moves closer to the ball on purpose. But Haesoo's crew catches on. They keep blocking it, making sure she stays in. Over and over, they intercept, laughing and whispering like it's some kind of game. That's when Junyoung realizes they're doing this on purpose. They're freezing her out. She stares at them deadpan. They're clearly enjoying it. At this point, all she wants is to get nailed in the face and be sent to the nurse's office. The ball ends up in Seung-woon's hands. Haesoo tries to take it, ready to go in for the kill, while the others start forcing Junyoung further into the corner like they're hurting her. But Seung-woon hesitates. He sees the state she's in, barely standing, face pale. Instead of messing around, he throws the ball straight at her. It hits. She drops. Gasps spread through the court. The laughter cuts off immediately. Students rush over, voices rising in panic. Beom-jin stays back, watching silently from a distance. Junyoung's carried to the nurse's office. Slowly, her eyes flutter open. She figures she must have fainted. Her body's burning up, definitely a cold. She blinks, disoriented, looking around. The windows are blocked with anatomy charts, and there's a heater blasting by her bed. The heat's stifling. The nurse walks over, turns off the heater, then starts peeling the charts off the windows. Sunlight pours in, catching Junyoung off guard. The nurse checks her temperature and says it's hard to tell, maybe a cold, maybe heat exhaustion. Either way, class is almost over. She advises her to go home and rest, mentions she has a meeting, and reminds Junyoung to take fever meds if she needs to. Once the nurse leaves, Junyoung slowly sits up, her head still pounding. She knows she can't go home either. Then she hears the nurse talking to someone outside. Someone came to check on her. For a second, she wonders, is it Beom-jin? The curtain pulls back and it's Seung-woon. She freezes, seriously, him of all people. He steps in quietly, pulls up a chair next to her bed and sits. His hands fidget a little. He says he just wanted to check if she was okay. Apparently, he came by earlier between classes, but she was still out. He looks genuinely worried. He says it's the first time he's ever seen someone pass out like that, and he feels bad because it was his throw that knocked her down. Junyoung frowns. What's he even talking about? She fainted from being sick, not the ball. But Seung-woon's already looking down, clearly blaming himself. Then a thought hits her. Maybe she could use this to throw the blame on him. She glares at him and asks why he even came, accusing him of throwing the ball too hard on purpose. She says he just wanted to see how badly he hurt her. He panics. His voice shakes as he tries to explain. He says she didn't look well when she showed up at school, and during dodgeball it looked like she wanted to get hit. So he thought he was helping her out. But yeah, maybe he went too hard. He admits that. He bows his head and apologizes. Junyoung watches him quietly. He seems weirdly honest, like too genuine. She thinks to herself he must have grown up loved, with nice parents and a warm home. She tells him it's fine, nothing's broken. He looks relieved, but she adds that she's probably bruised. His eyes go wide, panic all over his face. Junyoung can't help but be amused. It's not even really his fault, but this is kind of fun. Seung-woon asks if she can stand. Junyoung nods and pushes herself up. Her eyes flick to the windows. She asks if he was the one who covered them. Before he can respond, she thanks him anyway, says she appreciates it. He doesn't say much, but the look on his face says it means something to him. For Junyoung, the whole thing feels strangely awkward. She thinks about how weird it is that saying thank you to him felt so easy. Usually that kind of thing is hard for her. Was it always supposed to be this simple? Just then, her knees buckle, her body gives out again, but Seung-woon catches her in one smooth motion, grabbing her hand and steadying her from behind. His hands are firm on her shoulders as he helps her walk. Then the nurse's office door suddenly slides shut with a sharp clack. It's Beom-jin. Junyoung, still groggy from earlier, pulls her hand back the second she sees Beom-jin, face hot with embarrassment. He just stands there quiet as ever. Seung-woon, looking lost, asks if Beom-jin showed up because he's hurt, adding that the nurse already left. But Beom-jin doesn't say a word, he just walks forward. Sensing the weird vibe, Seung-woon automatically shifts to stand in front of Junyoung like he's low-key trying to shield her. Her mind spirals. Is he thinking Beom-jin's gonna do something? Is that why he's stepping in? She can't wrap her head around it. Why is Beom-jin even in the nurse's office? There's no way he's here out of concern for her, that's just not him. Beom-jin doesn't even glance at them. He heads straight to the medicine cabinet, grabs a pack of meds and walks out like it's nothing. No explanation, no goodbye. They both just blink, confused. Junyoung scowls as she watches him leave. For someone who acts like he doesn't care, this guy still randomly offered to do her laundry the other day just because she glared at him. Seung-woon, watching him go, mutters that he still finds Beom-jin kind of intimidating. Junyoung silently agrees he's not the only one. As they walk, Seung-woon offers to walk her home. His voice is soft, clearly worried, but Junyoung immediately declines, insisting she's fine. She walks off alone, not wanting anyone to find out what her home life's really like. She gets to her usual spot, totally drained. Even so, she reminds herself that she still needs to study. No breaks allowed. At her desk, she pulls out her books and tries to focus. Exams are coming. She wants to keep her first place streak going. She's earned that title on her own and no one's taking it. But her eyes keep drifting to the bed on the second floor. Rest sounds so good right now. Her body feels heavy. Maybe it's just burnout, or maybe the fever's coming back. She tells herself she'll sleep just for a little while, just enough to feel better, then shakes her head. But her body's not listening. She gives in and crashes onto the bed upstairs. Lying there, eyes shut, a strange anxiety creeps in. She's scared. What if Beom-jin comes back and freaks out just because she's here? Why did he even show up earlier? It threw her off. And what did he think seeing her with Seung-woon? He didn't look annoyed or teasing. Then again, Beom-jin never shows anything, so who knows? Her body is barely holding on, and despite everything, she drifts off. But even in sleep, her thoughts stay tangled up in Beom-jin. There's this eerie feeling like he might walk in any second. Would he wake her up? And if he doesn't show, how's she gonna get back in the dark? She doesn't even carry a flashlight anymore. Suddenly, a shadow falls across her face. Her eyes snap open, and she sees a man terrifying and unfamiliar right in front of her. He slams a fist into the bed beside her and she screams. Panicking, she tries to hit him back, but he grabs her arm and yells her name. It's Beom-jin. She freezes, and then, embarrassed and angry, she punches him square in the head. He recoils, hitting the ceiling. Breathless, she glares at him and snaps, "What the hell was that? Why'd he pin her down like that?" Beom-jin, rubbing the spot where he hit his head, shoots back that he had no clue it was her. He thought someone broke in. Junyoung's furious. No one else would come in here besides the two of them. He should have known. Beom-jin groans, calls her crazy, and asks what she's doing there this late. When he tells her it's past 2 a.m., she's stunned. That long. He starts lecturing her. She shouldn't be here this late, and at the very least she could have locked the door. Has she lost all sense? He calls her insane and stupid. Junyoung fires back. How is she supposed to lock the door from the inside? Beom-jin, clearly pissed, tells her she should have just slept at home. That sets her off. She throws it back at him. Why is he getting so worked up when he's also here? If she's not supposed to be here, then what's his excuse? Beom-jin coldly reminds her that this isn't even her area to begin with. And finally, she explodes. What's with this your area, my area nonsense? The bed was empty, her head was splitting, her whole body was falling apart. So yeah, she used what was there. Big deal. She sarcastically apologizes for the crime of being sick. Is that what he wanted to hear? Her head throbs. She says she's leaving. He can have the bed to himself forever if that makes him happy. Beom-jin sighs and tells her it's late, offering to walk her home, but Junyoung scoffs. Since when do you worry about me? She snaps. Weren't you just trying to deck me 5 minutes ago? You literally passed out earlier, he mutters, meeting her eyes for a second, then quickly looking away like he regrets letting that slip. She stares at him, thrown off. What was that? Is Beom-jin seriously worried about her? Junyoung thought he'd tease her for being half asleep, but instead he just watches her, quietly concerned. He seems to notice how off she looks and wonders why she didn't take any medicine at the nurse's office. She explains that she's been sleeping most of the day. The nap helped a bit, but her body still aches and she hasn't slept properly in a while. When he asks where it hurts, she admits she might have a bit of a fever. Without saying anything, Beom-jin turns and walks downstairs like the darkness doesn't bother him at all. Junyoung stares after him, confused. He moves like he can see everything clearly, even in pitch dark. Meanwhile, she can barely see anything. Maybe he really does have cat eyes. She tells him to start turning on the lights when going down the stairs. If he slips, he could die instantly. He shoots back, asking why someone as fragile-looking as her is worried about him. She snaps, saying she's not worried about him at all. She's just saying it would suck for her to witness his death. What a horrible memory that'd be. A second later, the lights flick on. She squints, adjusting her eyes, and sees him standing there with a pack of medicine, the ones from earlier. He walks over and hands her a pill and a glass of water. She takes them and casually asks if he got hurt or something too. He shrugs and says he's got period cramps. She just stares at him blankly. Was that supposed to be funny? He tells her to shut up and take the medicine already. Junyoung suddenly bursts out laughing. The room fills with her voice as she jokes about how it's a shame she doesn't have a friend to share this moment with. Beom-jin doesn't say anything. He just watches her. After a while, her laughter dies down and she finally stops. He looks at her and brings up the obvious. Won't her family get mad that she's still not home? She shrugs and says she might just stay here tonight. That clearly catches him off guard. He reacts fast, not expecting that, but she insists. She thinks it's better this way. Annoyed, he tells her to go downstairs. It's his bed after all. She fires back, saying he sleeps too much anyway. That's all he ever does at school. He scoffs and throws it back. How can she talk when she literally slept all day? She defends herself, saying it was just once. Unlike him, she doesn't make a habit of it. Beom-jin gets irritated. He tells her to stop nagging and just go home. He even says he'll walk her back, but she refuses. She's staying. He stares at her like she's lost her mind. Is she seriously being this stubborn at this hour? She shrugs again and says no one else ever comes here, except him. Still, he doesn't look convinced. He mutters that someone used to live here, someone could show up. and maybe today's the day they do. Junyoung glances at him and says he should stay too. Her words catch him off guard. Then she quickly adds she doesn't mean they should sleep together or anything. He sighs, clearly annoyed. She reminds him they both already know what this place means to them, even if they haven't said it out loud. He grumbles that it's supposed to be her study spot, not a bedroom. Looking down, her voice drops. She says this is the only place where she feels like she can actually rest. She never thought she'd admit something like that out loud, especially not to someone else. But with him somehow, it doesn't feel that weird. She adds that she can't go home. She figures it's okay to say this much. Maybe the reason he's here tonight is not that different from hers. Beom-jin doesn't say a word. After a moment, he turns and walks downstairs. A soft thank you escapes her lips and he immediately trips on the stairs. She yells at him again, telling him to be careful. One wrong move and he could break his neck. He groans that she's too loud and tells her to just go to sleep. A little while later, he's already passed out at the desk. Junyoung turns to look at him quietly. She calls his name again. He groans, asking what now. She tells him to turn off the lights. He's clearly annoyed, and she can practically feel the irritation rising from downstairs. For some reason, it makes her weirdly happy. Before long, she drifts back to sleep. This place doesn't seem so bad after all. It's quiet and there's a comforting warmth in the air. Even though it's still dark outside, the usual fear doesn't creep in. Beom-jin is nearby, and strangely, that alone makes her feel safe. Her cheeks flush a little. Since when did having Beom-jin around feel like comfort instead of danger? She hadn't noticed earlier while she was passed out, but now she realizes the bed smells faintly like him. It's subtle and cool, kind of soothing. He probably doesn't even wear cologne, but it smells nice. Way better than what all the rumors made him out to be. After a few seconds, she brings up the cramp joke again and quietly giggles to herself. He yells back, telling her to shut up and sleep before he kicks her out. The next morning, Junyoung slowly wakes up. The light is soft. She stretches, then pauses. Her body feels light. No aches, no fever. It's the first morning in a long time that actually feels good. Then a familiar smell hits her. She looks down and sees Beom-jin in the kitchen making ramen like it's nothing. A grin spreads across her face. Ramen for breakfast, yay. Meanwhile, Beom-jin yawns sleepily, barely awake as he stirs the pot. Junyoung suddenly blurts out that she's curious. Does he always make ramen at home? Beom-jin stares at her for a second, then completely ignores the question. She feels the sting. She was ignored, now she's just embarrassed. As she heads down the stairs, he flips on the light. She immediately protests, saying she can see just fine and to turn it off. But he snaps back that he doesn't want to be the one to find her broken body at the bottom of the stairs. She retorts that if something did happen to her, he wouldn't just be a witness, he might even look like the prime suspect. He scoffs and asks what motive he'd even have. With full dramatic flair, she mocks, I couldn't stand to see her lying in my lovely bed all day, so I killed her. Then she bursts into laughter, loud and unfiltered, filling the whole room. Beom-jin, deadpan, tells her it wasn't even funny. She shrugs it off. At least her jokes are better than his. He finishes prepping the ramen. Today's mix includes green onion, egg, red pepper, dumplings, and powder. Junyoung spots the broken yolk and groans loudly. She told him not to break it. He ignores the whining and casually mentions she should probably take a shower. She reeks of sweat. Junyoung brushes it off, saying she'll wash up after eating. What's the big rush? As she slurps her ramen, she admits it's pretty good. He actually knows how to make it well. While Beom-jin washes the dishes, she scans the room and notices a towel. She asks if it's his and if it's the only one. When he says yes, she instantly snatches it and says she's borrowing it. She adds that he'd look fine even if he didn't wash his hair for a day. No one would dare say a word to him anyway. He responds with a dry, oh right. Junyoung sighs, saying her hair feels disgusting. She has to wash it. Then out of nowhere, Beom-jin asks if she's putting in all this effort for Na Seung-woon. She freezes. The question throws her completely off. Why would he think that? Why would Na Seung-woon have anything to do with this? But before she can say a word, Beom-jin shifts the subject. He asks if she's really not planning to stop by her house. She mutters that she is not. He tells her the water's cold and to warm it before using it. Junyoung pauses. He's being oddly considerate. She tells him he should go upstairs and rest. She'll wash up and wake him after. But Beom-jin hesitates. He mumbles something about how much she must have sweated, how could he sleep there? Flustered, she fires back. It wasn't that much, okay? He brushes it off and says he's going to sleep and she better not wake him. A few seconds later, he's already fast asleep in the chair. As she washes her hair, she glances at him. He's totally out. She wonders if he ever used this much effort on studying instead of sleeping. He might actually become a threat to her spot in the class rankings. Later, on her way to school, that thought still lingers. Come to think of it, what are Kwon Beom-jin's grades anyway? She doesn't get far before she runs into Haesoo and her group. Haesoo greets her with a smirk and asks if she's feeling okay. Junyoung gives her a flat response. Yeah, all thanks to you. Haesoo says she looks way too recovered for just a day. What a shame. Maybe she was hoping Junyoung would be bedridden for weeks. Junyoung's thoughts spiral, just her luck running into her first thing in the morning. Then Haesoo sighs, half laughing. Wow, I didn't expect you to pull something so childish. Junyoung blinks. What did I even do? Haesoo laughs mockingly. Seriously, fainting in front of Na Seung-woon just to get his attention? Come on, you were hilarious yesterday. Junyoung's voice tightens. Why would I even want his attention? Haesoo smirks like she's figured something out. Why ask me? Isn't it obvious that you like him? The words hit like a punch. Junyoung freezes, completely thrown. Haesoo goes on, saying Junyoung always stares at him, that everything about her changed the moment ignoring him stopped working. She even asks if Junyoung feels embarrassed about getting caught. Junyoung's thoughts spin out. She likes Na Seung-woon. No, that doesn't sound right. It just feels different when she looks at him. Then Beom-jin's voice from earlier echoes in her head. Who's concerned about your hair? Na Seung-woon. Her face heats up instantly. Haesoo leans in closer, voice low and pointed. She says she understands how hard it must be to express feelings with a mother like hers. Then she smiles like she's twisting a knife, adding that she usually doesn't gossip, but people change. Junyoung just stares, stunned. What is she even talking about? Before she can say anything, Na Seung-woon walks up to the group, sounding cheerful as he greets them. He turns to Junyoung and asks how she's feeling. Annoyed, Junyoung snaps at him to mind his own business and storms off. Seung-woon stands there, confused. A few steps later, she runs into Beom-jin. They look at each other, but remembering the unspoken promise to stay strangers, she keeps walking without a word, eyes fixed to the ground. Still, Beom-jin pauses. Something's clearly not right, but all he can do is stand there, watching her walk away. Junyoung zones out in class. She can't concentrate. Haesoo's words from earlier keep bouncing around in her head, dragging up memories she really doesn't want to deal with. She knows her mom isn't normal. They've lived together her whole life, but she still doesn't really understand her. Her mom doesn't talk, she's always in pain, and the way she deals with it is by taking it out on Junyoung every single day. She thinks she remembers trying to talk to her when she was really young, back when she still thought something might change. She still wonders sometimes what's going on in her mom's head. There was a time she used to worry about her. Her mom barely went to work and mostly just stayed in bed. Junyoung used to feel bad, used to think something might be really wrong. But over time, that sympathy faded. The more her mom came home drunk, the more often Junyoung found herself wiping up her urine from the floor. It became normal, and eventually she just stopped caring. They're poor, sure, but being poor doesn't ruin everyone the way it's ruined her. Whatever her mom's dealing with, it runs deep. It's like something inside her is slowly falling apart. But even knowing that doesn't make it any easier to live with her. Lately, her mom's been leaving money in the corner of the room. At first, Junyoung wasn't sure if she was supposed to touch it. She asked once, but like always, no answer. Even when she used it to buy some second-hand books, her mom didn't say anything. Eventually, she just started taking it. It became her allowance, sort of unofficially. She doesn't ask where it comes from, she really doesn't want to know. You have to be stronger, no matter what you do, she should have raised you better. Those thoughts always filled her head. She's so deep in her own world, she doesn't even notice the teacher coming, until a rolled-up book comes down on her head like divine punishment. He calls her out in front of everyone, ranting about how full of herself she is. Goes after her grades, her future, even her personality. It's not the first time. Ever since she said no to his gross suggestion about joining the math club, he's headed out for her. But then, out of nowhere, Seung-woon stands up. He tries to take the heat off her, says maybe Junyoung's still feeling sick from when he accidentally hit her during PE. But the teacher just sneers and turns it on him too, cracking a gross joke about how she must have a crush on him or lost sleep dreaming about him. Before anyone can react, a basketball slams into the chalkboard, just barely missing the teacher's head. The sound is sharp and loud. Beom-jin threw it. He tells the teacher this isn't a joke, that Seung-woon hit her like she wasn't even a person, and that even he, someone who doesn't give a damn about anyone, wouldn't go that far. The teacher loses it, says all three of them better hand in apology letters by the end of the day. The air in the classroom is thick with tension. Haesoo turns to scold Seung-woon for butting in, but he just says it was the right thing to do. He glances at Junyoung, trying to read her, but her face doesn't give anything away. And that just makes him wonder even more what's really going on between her and Beom-jin. Later, while everyone's quietly working on their letters, Junyoung wonders what Beom-jin has written, but Beom-jin doesn't even start his. The page stays completely blank. She knows that's gonna be a problem, that teacher's petty. He'll find a way to make them pay for it. But more than anything, she's thrown off. Beom-jin stood up for her, again, right in front of the class. When he heads out, the whispers start up. Did you see that? There's definitely something between them. Junyoung hears it all, and she knows exactly what it means. This makes twice now that Beom-jin has stepped in for her. And not just anyone, Beom-jin, the guy who keeps his distance, who doesn't get involved, who until recently acted like she didn't even exist in front of others. If anything goes wrong now, it'll be her fault. She runs after him, tries to talk him into writing the apology, but the whispers around them get louder. That little bubble of distance they used to hide behind starts to shrink fast. He keeps walking, doesn't even look back. Annoyed, she grabs his wrist. He whirls around, sharp and cold, and snaps, "Who do you think you are?" Everything goes still, the hallway's dead silent, his eyes burn into hers. Junyoung just stares at him, stunned. Not far away, Haesoo watches with a smug look on her face. She throws in a comment, saying Junyoung must have been kidding herself if she thought Beom-jin ever saw her as a friend. The way he's looking now, completely distant, makes it hard to argue. Trying to break the tension, Seung-woon awkwardly jumps in. He offers to help Beom-jin write the apology letter, hoping it might calm things down, but Beom-jin doesn't even acknowledge him, just walks off without saying a word. Left standing there, Seung-woon admits he hasn't even written his own apology yet. He asks Junyoung if she's done one before. She shrugs and says no. Turns out neither of them really knows how to start. Junyoung thinks about it for a second. She didn't ask Seung-woon to step in earlier, but maybe the way she handled things pulled him into this mess. Then out of nowhere, she rattles off an apology letter like it's nothing. It sounds formal, polished, and weirdly mature. Seung-woon looks impressed. She says she's never written one before, but it doesn't sound like she's new to it. She tells him to just copy that. As she's walking away, Seung-woon stops her. He asks if he did something wrong, is that why she's always distant with him? She says no, but in her head, she's torn. She can't help but envy how naturally he speaks his mind. He's never been hurt like she has, never had to build walls. She doesn't answer his next question. Sometimes someone makes you uncomfortable even when they haven't done anything wrong. Sometimes it's not about them at all. She just turns and walks away. Still, the feeling sticks with her. When she looks at Seung-woon, it brings out everything she wants to forget. Her old, faded uniform, worn-out slippers, greasy hair she scrubs in the school sink, that constant smell of sweat and dust. He doesn't even have to say a word. Just existing near her makes her feel small. Later, she runs into Haesoo again. Haesoo wastes no time and jumps straight to the point, asking what's going on between her and Beom-jin. But Junyoung is not in the mood. Instead, she flips the question back, asks if Haesoo's the one in love with her. That shuts her up real quick. Junyoung tells her to worry about her own business and walks off. After school, Junyoung heads to her usual hiding spot. She wonders if Beom-jin might be there. Maybe she wants to ask why he pushed her away like that, but she tells herself not to go just for that reason. Exams are coming, she should focus on studying. Still, part of her worries, what if no one's there? Will she end up sleeping there again? But honestly, even that sounds better than going home to her mom. She also thinks about Haesoo. The resentment was always there, but it still stings more than she'd like. Maybe it's all because of Seung-woon. Maybe it's just better to stay away from both of them. When she gets to the hideout, she sees the doors unlocked. That brings a small smile to her face. Beom-jin's probably passed out again. She decides to mess with him a little, maybe get even for how he acted earlier. She tiptoes inside, planning to scare him awake and watch him smack his head on the ceiling like he always does. But it doesn't go how she expected. Before she even gets close, Beom-jin suddenly jolts awake, grabs her by the neck, and slams her to the bed in a panic. He doesn't even realize it's her at first. The second he does, he backs off immediately, clearly horrified. She gasps for breath, shocked and pissed. She yells at him, calling him insane. He stammers out an explanation. He thought someone broke in and just reacted, but she's not buying it. Who chokes someone just because they're scared? Holding her neck, she demands water. He bolts downstairs, still shaken up, not even turning on the lights. She yells after him to quit being careless. When he comes back with the water, she drinks it slowly while watching him, and in that moment, something shifts. He doesn't look cold or angry anymore, he just looks shaken, vulnerable, human. After a while, she glances over at Beom-jin and straight up just asks why he threw that basketball at the teacher. He scratches the back of his head like it's no big deal, says he's got bad sleeping habits. Junyoung narrows her eyes. She knows that's a lie. He's a terrible liar, always has been. If that's really the case, she asks then how come she's never seen this magical sleep disorder before. Lately, he's been passing out in class more than usual. Something's definitely off, so what's going on? He doesn't look at her when he answers, says it only kicks in sometimes when he has nightmares. That catches her off guard. Someone like him, so chill, always unreadable, what would he even have to be scared of? But he says it quietly, that's why he keeps coming here. She pauses, something clicks in her head. She's pretty sure he mentioned something like this before. Then he flips it back on her. What about her? Why come all the way back here? Why sleep in this place instead of going home? Is she really that into studying? She doesn't say anything at first. He's not wrong. What was she even looking for when she came back? Then she answers, yeah, she likes studying. She kinda has to. It's the only thing she has going for her, the one thing she can still control. The room falls quiet for a moment, heavy, like they both get it. Then she shifts the subject, tells him to hurry up and write his apology letter. That math teacher's not gonna let it go. He's way too petty for that. But Beom-jin leans back with a lazy look and tosses a line her way, asks if she had fun writing hers with Na Seung-woon. She freezes, her face twists, annoyed and confused. Where is that even coming from? Why would she ever get along with Seung-woon? She tells him to cut it out, stop dragging his name into everything, but he doesn't answer. His eyes are already shut, acting like he's asleep. Later, like usual, the two of them head home together. Junyoung walks behind him, holding the stick like always. The routine feels automatic now. But tonight, it's gotten really late. She stayed too long trying to memorize her English vocab. By the time they make it back to town, the streetlights are off. Everything feels darker than usual. Beom-jin asks which street she lives on and says he'll walk her all the way there. She tries to brush it off, asking if this is just him trying to make up for nearly choking her earlier, but one look from him shuts that down real fast. They start walking again, but then Beom-jin slows down, his eyes fixed ahead like something's off. Junyoung follows his gaze. There's someone standing down the road, still like a shadow. Her stomach sinks. She clutches onto his sleeve and whispers that he should walk her the rest of the way. Gone is the tough front she had earlier. As they get closer, the figure becomes clearer. It's her mom. Junyoung freezes, face pale. Her mom's expression is hard to read, but it's definitely angry. Junyoung hurries forward, trying to de-escalate. Mom, she says, keeping her voice gentle but nervous. What are you doing out here? Let's just go home, okay? But the response is brutal, a sharp slap across the face. Junyoung hits the ground. The pain stings, but it's not just that, it's the shame, the way it hits deep and raw. She lifts her head slowly and locks eyes with Beom-jin. Her heart sinks. This is it, the side of her life she never wanted him to see, her secret, her lowest point. But her mom isn't done. She starts hitting her again, right there in the street, doesn't even care that someone's watching. Junyoung doesn't fight back, she never does. In her head, she's screaming, begging someone to help to make it stop. And then, out of nowhere, Beom-jin moves. He jumps in and shields her with his own body, taking the hit himself. Junyoung's breath catches. She looks up at him, completely stunned. Junyoung's mom, completely wasted and furious, lashes out without thinking. She just keeps screaming and swinging, not realizing she's beating someone else entirely. But Junyoung's done. She tells Beom-jin to move and steps forward, grabbing her mother's wrist tight and meeting her eyes with a cold stare. She demands to know, was all this just because she didn't come home last night? Her voice sharpens, filled with pain and anger. She calls her mother out for pretending to care. There was never any structure in their house. All she remembers is growing up alone. Junyoung says she doesn't follow anyone's rules anymore, not hers, not anyone's, and that she'd rather just be hit like always than have to deal with this fake act of concern. Then she yanks her hand free, her voice rises. She says it's disgusting watching her mom pretend to give a damn. Her mother just stares at the ground, quiet, saying nothing. Junyoung doesn't stick around. She turns and runs off, crying. Beom-jin watches her disappear down the street, then slowly gets up. He looks at her mom, who's now staring directly at him. He introduces himself calmly and tells her as respectfully as he can that even if it's hard to believe, nothing happened that night. He says Junyoung isn't like that, she only cares about studying. Her mother doesn't reply. She stands there for a moment, then just walks away in silence. Beom-jin stays behind, alone in the street. His whole body aches. She really didn't hold back. The next day at school, Junyoung is drowning in embarrassment. Just the idea of facing Beom-jin makes her want to vanish. She's been dodging him since morning, but in a school this small, there's only so far she can run. And honestly, she's not sure how long she can keep this up. If she keeps avoiding him, she won't be able to use the house where she usually studies. With exams right around the corner, that's a risk she really can't afford. Still, she can't bring herself to face him. While writing her apology letter, her thoughts drift back to last night when Beom-jin suddenly pulled her into a hug. Her face heats up just remembering it. She ends up scribbling way more than she needs to. Letter in hand, she walks toward the teacher's office. On the way, she passes Beom-jin's desk and sees him napping as usual. But this time, her eyes catch the bruises on his arms. Around her, classmates are buzzing, whispering about how he must have gotten into a fight with gangsters or something. But Junyoung knows the truth, and she knows she can't say a word. As she's walking through the hallway, she notices a few students peeking into the staff room. Curious, she looks inside and freezes. Sitting there is this elegant, polished woman who looks totally out of place in this dusty school. Designer clothes, flawless posture, that expensive-looking calm. Junyoung doesn't need to be told who it is. That's definitely Na Seung-woon's mother. Junyoung tries to sneak away after turning in her letter, but the math teacher calls out her name, just loud enough to catch the woman's attention. The woman looks at her, calm, poised, but clearly sizing her up. Seems like she already knows who Junyoung is. Word about her top grades and rural background must have reached Seoul by now. Then the woman speaks in this soft, polite tone. Says she heard about what happened yesterday, how Junyoung collapsed after getting hit. Before Junyoung can even respond, the principal jumps in, brushing it off like it was nothing. Says she's always been the weak type. Junyoung blinks, unsure. Wait, was that directed at her? It really wasn't a big deal. But the woman doesn't let it go. She still wants to apologize. Asks if Junyoung's feeling any better. Junyoung nods, says she's fine, even though her discomfort is obvious. The woman takes a sip of her tea and says she doesn't expect much from the school, just for the kids to be happy and healthy. That's why she's donating a gym, says this town's her hometown too. The teachers light up at the idea, exchanging excited glances. Then her tone softens, but there's a subtle edge to it. She hopes the teachers will keep the students' well-being in mind, especially when it comes to discipline. She mentions that while her son was studying in Seoul, he never had to write apology letters. She says it casually, but her eyes flick to the math teacher. She adds that making a child write one could become a problem, especially if it affects their studies. And just like that, she warns them, but not directly. Mr. Kim scrambles to agree, nodding way too fast. Junyoung glances at him. He honestly looks like a servant getting scolded by royalty. Then the door opens and in walks Seung-woon. He spots Junyoung and instantly stiffens, face flushing red. His mom notices and chuckles knowingly. She stands up, getting ready to leave. Before she goes, she pulls out an envelope full of cash and hands it to the teachers. Tells them to enjoy a nice lunch on her. A little gesture of goodwill. The teachers bow low, all smiles and thank yous. Once she's gone, the whole room relaxes. Mr. Kim lets out this long sigh like he's been holding his breath the whole time. The principal reminds him to stay on her good side. She's building them a gym after all. Junyoung hands in her letter and walks out, spotting Seung-woon and his mom chatting nearby. She tries to slip past quietly, but the woman catches her. Seung-woon awkwardly introduces her, saying his mom just dropped by for a quick meeting. But his mom laughs, saying she clearly came because her son got into trouble. Junyoung, confused, blurts out, "Didn't you come because of the gym donation?" The woman pauses, then smiles. "In the end, it's all for my son." Junyoung instantly regrets saying anything. The woman steps closer, giving her another once-over. Says Seung-woon talks about her all the time. Now that she's met her, she understands why. Compliments her, says she's pretty and seems smart, then casually invites her to their house. Neither Junyoung nor Seung-woon saw that coming. Junyoung tries to turn the offer down politely, explaining that she's not really close to Seung-woon. But his mom doesn't care. She's already planning lunch like it's a done deal. Says someone will be home to cook, offers to make whatever Junyoung likes, even says she'll send a car. Junyoung, overwhelmed, keeps saying it's really not necessary. But the woman doesn't budge. She just sets the plan Saturday 12:30 near Faith Church and walks off like everything's settled. Watching her leave, Junyoung mutters under her breath that the woman wasn't even listening. Seung-woon apologizes, kind of embarrassed, and admits his mom always does what she wants. Junyoung tells him she can't just show up to his house out of nowhere and asks him to let her mom know she won't come. But Seung-woon, flustered, quietly says the invite itself is enough of a reason. He adds that he'll be waiting in front of the church. Before Junyoung can get another word in, he's already walking away, face red. She just stands there, frozen. Around her, the whispers start up in the hallway, and she knows exactly what kind of rumors are coming. Later, when Haesoo hears about it, she absolutely loses it. Can't believe Junyoung had the nerve to even be near Seung-woon after everything. And while all this is happening, Beom-jin is fake napping in class, listening to every word. He sits up and just starts thinking. He tells himself he should stop messing with Junyoung. Her mom hits hard, and she's got that same kind of fire in her. Then he notices Seung-woon quietly slip into class and sit down. Beom-jin watches him from across the room. One question sticks in his head: why would that guy invite Junyoung to his house? Just then Junyoung walks in and quietly takes her seat. Beom-jin watches her, noticing how distant she looks. She's clearly somewhere else, and he can't help but wonder what's got her so wrapped up in thought. He just sits there, quietly watching. There's something about the way she disappears into her books that calms him. The world softens when she's like this, still, quiet, like time pauses just to let her focus. It's just her pen moving, the way she writes, the way her eyes stay fixed on the page. Somehow it makes everything feel a little less pointless. Junyoung is special to him. He knows deep down that if anyone can fix him, it's her. Most days, life feels like one long act of hiding, and the emptiness gnaws at him. But when she's near, even the silence feels a little easier to sit with. She probably doesn't even know it, but people at school talk about her all the time. Not just because she's smart or pretty, but because she's always alone. She doesn't really let anyone in. People say she's like an island, distant and cold. Back when he didn't care much, Beom-jin used to sit behind her and just stare at the back of her head, mostly out of boredom. No matter how many naps he took, she'd be there, hunched over, writing. That never changed. It was oddly comforting. He used to wonder if she actually liked solving problems that much, or if it was just her way of escaping. And in all that silent watching, he noticed something. Her eyes would wander toward Na Seung-woon. That bugged him. He didn't want to admit it, but it did. Just the idea that someone like her would fall for the pretty boy type like everyone else. But when Seung-woon actually talked to her and she just brushed him off, and Seung-woon somehow started smiling to it, he figured that was the end of it. Then everything changed when he ran into her at that tiny house. He didn't expect her to act that way. It was kind of fun being around her there. It made him feel normal, like just a regular high schooler. But now he's lost. Maybe she's been avoiding him because he saw something she didn't want anyone to see. He can still picture it, her mom going off, violent and loud. Junyoung, small and frozen, she probably feels humiliated. And he gets why she'd want to disappear. It's not really either of their faults that their parents are messed up. But even so, why did it have to be him who saw it? It's Saturday morning, and Junyoung's dragging her feet down the path, her mood in the gutter and her head all over the place. She really doesn't want to go. She's not even sure why she agreed in the first place. She thought about buying something decent to wear but didn't bother in the end. It wouldn't have made a difference anyway, she still looks rough. In her head, she curses the math teacher for all this. If he hadn't made them write that dumb apology letter, she wouldn't be in this mess. Honestly, she hopes something annoying like his zipper getting stuck happens to him today. Serves him right. She's still not sure what the real reason behind this invitation is. Was it guilt over the gym incident? Or is Seung-woon's mom just curious about the girl her son keeps talking about? Either way, Junyoung decides she'll just eat, stay polite, and leave fast. No reason to be nervous. Suddenly, Seung-woon shows up out of nowhere, looking way too good, of course, and catches her off guard. He starts hovering, asking if she ate, if she had trouble finding the place, and saying thank God it didn't rain. She gives short, polite answers, trying to keep her distance. She asks if his mom does this kind of thing often, and he gives a vague sometimes, which pretty much means no. Then he says it's because he finally made a friend after transferring, and his mom's been really excited about that. She didn't know what Junyoung liked, so she put extra care into the food. Junyoung shrugs and says she's not picky. For people like her and Kwon Beom-jin, being picky isn't an option. Ramen's the usual. She admits she's not even sure why she agreed to come. Seung-woon says it's probably because of him. His mom's way too into his school life. Apparently her name comes up all the time when he talks about the top student in class. That makes more sense now. Maybe this lunch isn't about anything except sizing her up. She already feels tired. Then Seung-woon brings up the apology letter, guessing that his mom probably heard about it and thinks Junyoung got roped in because of him. But he swears he only told her the truth, that the teacher was being unfair and none of them really did anything wrong. Junyoung scoffs to herself. Beom-jin did throw a basketball at the teacher, so maybe his letter wasn't completely undeserved. But her thoughts wander to Beom-jin again. She remembers him saying he hides out in that abandoned place because he's scared of something. She's still wondering how to bring that up. As if reading her mind, Seung-woon casually asks if maybe Beom-jin should have been invited too, since he also had to write a letter. She laughs, saying there's no way he would have shown up. Then realizes she sounds like she knows him too well and quickly covers it by saying he's always asleep in school anyway. They keep walking, then Seung-woon says it's weird, he's never seen her and Beom-jin talk, but sometimes it feels like they know each other really well. Junyoung tenses for a second. He keeps going, saying how it was kind of out of character for someone like Beom-jin to stick up for her like that. She brushes it off, saying maybe he just hates the math teacher that much. Still, it sticks with her. She didn't expect Seung-woon to notice that much, but even if he figures it out, so what? Everyone else will eventually too. Then, out of the blue, he brings up that day when she collapsed and ended up at the nurse's office. He says she'd mentioned the heater and the windows being covered and how thankful she was. She rolls her eyes and asks if he's trying to brag. But he says quietly that it wasn't him who did any of that. He only stopped by during break and didn't even know where the heater was. Junyoung stops walking and looks at him. His grin says it all. He's pointing her toward one answer, Beom-jin. They finally reach his house. Maids are waiting. Junyoung expected it to be fancy, but it's a whole different level. Luckily, she's still distracted by what Seung-woon said, or the wave of insecurity would have hit way harder. Inside, his mom greets her with a warm smile and tells the butler to show her to the dining room. The food is unreal, like something out of a magazine. Junyoung actually asks if they're expecting more guests. His mom laughs and says she just didn't know what she liked, so she made a bunch of stuff. Even Seung-woon looks embarrassed, but his mom brushes it off, saying it's a big deal, first time he's brought home a girl. Junyoung starts eating, but then the interrogation starts. Questions about her grades, cram school, private tutors. She just says she studies by herself. Seung-woon tries to gently change the subject, but his mom jokes that if Junyoung can't handle a little pressure, how's she gonna survive senior year? Junyoung goes quiet, eyes on her plate. When she fumbles with the knife and fork, his mom notices and asks if it's her first time eating food like this. Junyoung stiffens and says she just doesn't care for this kind of stuff. Then the topic shifts to college. His mom asks if she's aiming for the same school as Seung-woon. Junyoung says she's aiming high, top tier. Then comes the dreaded question, what does she want to do after school? Junyoung's silent for a moment. She's already picked up on her tone. Even at school, she noticed it. Seung-woon's mom has this way of talking like she already knows everything. Then come the subtle digs. She starts suggesting super expensive colleges with ridiculous tuition. Junyoung understands the game. She smiles and replies that since her grades are good, she'll take her time deciding. That quiet confidence makes the woman pause for a second, but then out of nowhere she drops it with a smirk. So, what does your father do? Junyoung freezes, caught completely off guard. Off all questions, she didn't expect that coming. To change the subject, Junyoung deliberately knocks over her juice and says it was an accident. As she stands up to clean the mess, Seung-woon's mother calmly offers to bring her something else to wear, mentioning that it's uncomfortable to watch her sit around in soaked clothes. A butler appears and quietly escorts Junyoung out of the room. As she walks down the hall, her thoughts start to spiral. She knows she should have anticipated that question. After all, asking about someone's parents is the kind of small talk people toss around without thinking. But no one has ever asked her that before. Not even she's asked herself. The truth is, she doesn't know what her father does. She doesn't know anything about him. Now sitting alone on a couch, she waits, wondering why such a simple conversation makes her feel so cornered. Most people can navigate these situations with ease, but for her, they're emotionally loaded. She hates feeling like this. The last thing she wants is to be humiliated here, especially in front of that woman. Suddenly, the woman reappears. She's holding the clothes herself, not bothering to have someone else deliver them. With a pleasant smile, she offers them to Junyoung, saying they're soft, comfortable, and that they'll suit her well. Junyoung accepts them and quietly begins changing, but the woman doesn't leave. While Junyoung is still halfway through, the woman casually starts speaking again. She claims that she wasn't herself earlier and blames her behavior on a poor night's sleep. Then, without warning, she slips in another remark saying Junyoung's father isn't around, that her mother must be a bit unstable. Junyoung freezes mid-motion. The woman shifts the tone slightly, now complimenting Junyoung's appearance. She says she admires kids who grow up in chaos but still manage to stay on track. She calls it a privilege to be able to sponsor students like that. Then she gently urges her to finish changing. But when Junyoung looks down, she realizes what she's been handed. It's a maid uniform. The woman's smile widens as she tells her it looks perfect on her. Junyoung clenches her fists. The humiliation sinks in heavier than before. This isn't just about clothes or conversation, it's about power. She yells at the woman, demanding why she can't just say what she means instead of playing games. Then comes the question the woman has clearly been building up to. Is Junyoung interested in her son? Junyoung answers bluntly no, but the woman doesn't believe her. She says Seung-woon talks about Junyoung constantly. Junyoung responds just as bluntly, suggesting that maybe he's the one who's interested, not her. The woman lets out a soft, amused laugh and says that her son is simply kind. She tells Junyoung she needs to learn the difference between kindness and something more. And now it all makes sense. This wasn't about lunch, it was a test. Junyoung asks if that was the whole point of this invitation. The woman raises her hand suddenly as if she's about to slap her. Junyoung flinches instinctively. But instead of a slap, the woman's hand falls gently on her shoulder. She says she admires Junyoung's spirit but warns her that she should also learn restraint. Then she lays it all out, offering Junyoung everything: money, clothes, even housing through their foundation. All she has to do is remember her place. There's a difference between someone like her and someone like Seung-woon. Junyoung lowers her gaze, the weight of the moment sinking in. It's tempting, she won't lie, a bigger cage, cleaner and fancier, but a cage nonetheless. She knows exactly what accepting would mean. So she takes a breath, lifts her chin, and meets the woman's gaze. Then she asks in a calm and steady voice, "What's your name? I don't want to remember you as just Seung-woon's mom." Meanwhile, in a completely different part of town, Beom-jin lies in bed, unable to rest. He's been restless all morning. He followed them earlier, saw them walking into that huge mansion, and imagined everything that might be happening inside, laughing, chatting, eating together. The images won't leave his mind no matter how hard he tries to shake them off. He attempts to distract himself with push-ups and pacing around his room, running through possible things he might say when Junyoung comes back. Maybe something funny, maybe a casual jab, maybe nothing at all. But none of it helps. All he can think about is her having fun inside that house. Eventually, he gets up and heads to the door, needing air or space or something, anything to stop the storm inside his head. But the second he opens the door, he freezes. Because Junyoung is standing right there, completely drenched. Alright, that's it for this video. Till next time.